What's up, guys? Welcome to This Is Sporta. I am David once again here, back waiting for our co-host Zach to pop in. He should be here soon. I sent him the link. Just waiting. Lots to talk about tonight. A little bit more on Trevor Bauer, Suns, Dodgers. Lots to talk about tonight. We're definitely gonna make sure we try to hit in as much as possible. And Zach is in here. What's up, man? How's it going?
It's going, man. How are you?
Doing good. Another beautiful Washington day here.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Is it raining or how's the weather up there?
No, today was like in the 80s. So
okay.
It was nice. Like it wasn't hot, wasn't cloudy, but it's Washington, so tomorrow it'll probably be cloudy and rainy.
Nice.
Yeah. So, how's it going? How's everything?
It's going, man. It's hot out here in California, I'll tell you that. And it's been cloudy and humid, and today was actually a really nice day, but it's just hot. Like when you're standing in that sun, you're just melting.
Yeah. I like the All-Star Game hat. That's
thank you.
The Mets, of course, your team, one of your teams. Yeah, we got those in at work in the Seattle ones, and I'm just like, I'm not a Seattle fan. I wouldn't touch it.
Who, as a matter of fact, who is your baseball team?
It's the Dodgers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
this hat.
I like the hats. I can't stand the jerseys. The jerseys just look just poorly designed.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I do like the splash of the Rockies colors in it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, they kind of did a cross between the Atlanta with the red and then the purple with the Rockies, and then with the patch. Where is it? Right there.
Yeah.
So it's nice. I like it.
So,
but I'm stoked for the All-Star game coming up, and especially the home run derby.
Yeah. When's I was gonna say that's next weekend, right?
Yeah, there's 3-4 more games, and then they get a whole week off. And Tuesday the All-Star game, and then Monday the home run derby, which that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. So,
have they said who's all in it? Like I know, like Tatis said he's not doing it. Is Shohei gonna be there?
Ohtani's going to be in it. Let me actually pull it up right now. Ohtani, Pete Alonso is going to be defending champion from 2 years ago. Back
2 years ago, yeah.
You got Juan Soto, and then you got Ohtani. You got Perez from Kansas City.
Okay.
And Alonso, and then you got Joey Gallo and Trevor Story, which of course they got to have somebody representing from Colorado.
Right.
And then you got Matt Olson, who's tearing it up in Oakland, and then you got Mancini from Baltimore.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, not a great murderer's row of hitters, but I mean, should be exciting. I think Pete Alonso again. Man, I could see him repeating. You know, it's been 2 years, but Ohtani's on a tear. He's going to be a tough one.
He's got I mean, it's incredible the story that's happening right now with him with 32 home runs, and at this pace right now where McGuire was and Sosa. I mean, before the All-Star break, I think they were at 37.
Yeah.
And he's got 3 more games, and I mean, he could hit a couple more and be right there at that status of McGuire and Sosa. But I mean, this kid's just on a different planet. It's amazing to watch.
It's crazy when you think about what he's done, not just as a batter, but as a pitcher as well. I'm trying to look up the stats right now. Like as of right now, including tonight's game, he's batting .281. Like you said, 32 home runs, 69 RBIs, and an OPS of 1064. So he's a machine.
Yeah, it's incredible to see. And I mean, that's pretty much why everybody's going to Angel Stadium right now. It's definitely not to watch that team.
No, no.
I mean, that kid, I mean, every time you watch him swing, it's like he's trying to hit a 500 home run out of the ballpark. Right. And I mean, he is this generation's Babe Ruth. It's just he's not getting drunk as a skunk and coming to the ball field and
right. And he's throwing good stuff. It's not like he throws garbage. Like he throws good, like a good changeup. He throws a nice fastball. It's the Tommy John surgery that he had really helped his pitching.
Oh, absolutely. And he got lit up in that first, I think it was the first or the second inning against the Yankees recently. It was right after the Mets played the Yankees, and I believe we took 2 out of 3. And then that first game, I think it was the first or the second game that he pitched, and he allowed like 7 runs. And it happens.
Yeah, those games happen, but I mean, as a pitcher, he's doing really well. He's in the All-Star game as a hitter, as a pitcher. He has a bright future. He just has to get out of Anaheim.
I mean, I don't know what his term is in Anaheim. I don't know how long his contract is, but I mean, from my standpoint and from what I'm looking at with the Angels, I mean, he's all they got. I mean, there's really nobody else unless I forgot that other guy's name. I think it's like Bundy, who's one of their pitchers. But I mean, they're I think what 9-10 games back in the AL West right now.
Yeah, so, I'm trying to look it up right now what his contract looks like. He's signed until 2022. 2023 he has an arbitration, and then 2024 he's unrestricted.
2024.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, unless they sign him to an extension, I mean, if he continues to play at the level that he's playing at right now, and he were to test free agency, he would get monster money. I mean, oh my God. And I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the Yankees are in on that. I mean, team,
big market teams, teams that want to splash the cash and can put his face out there. Because I mean, next to Tatis, I really think Ohtani can be an international face for the game.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm hoping that he hits at least 3 more home runs or 2, heading into the All-Star break. My only worry is with most guys who end up going into the home run derby, especially their very first time after the All-Star break, they're non-existent because their swing is all messed up. Their mechanics are completely screwed.
Right.
And they're like, what happened? And that's why one guy I wanted to see in the home run derby, and he ended up not accepting, was Vlad Guerrero Jr.
Yeah. I was surprised that he wasn't. Like I said, Tatis Jr. surprised me not doing it. But like you said, man, guys go in there and it's a different swing. It's you're constantly swinging for the fences, essentially, and it messes with your mechanics. I can see how that's an issue coming out. So, man, how about that Stanley Cup?
Yeah, I mean, if you guys haven't seen my latest video, definitely go check it out on my YouTube channel, where I talk about the Tampa Bay Lightning. And a lot of people, it's amazing to me. Like I was talking about with my wife today, a lot of people misinterpreted what I said because the Lightning were $18 million over the cap.
Right.
But other teams were too. I guess apparently the Canadians were $7 million over the cap. I think my point in what I was making merely was just, if we have rules, enforce them. Yeah, that's really all at the end of the day. I'm not surprised that Tampa ended up winning in 5. I mean, I think that if you watched Game 4, that 4-minute power play they had when Shea Weber high sticked, made that high sticking penalty, they were playing around with the puck, and I think if they just executed, they would have swept them, and they would have won. I mean, what did you think?
I felt the same way. It's like I was watching that game, and they didn't seem like they were trying. and I think Montreal just kept him in the game. Like Vasilevsky like didn't look like he was moving well, and it's like, okay, like I get it. But yeah, like you said, that power play going into the overtime when they still had like 2:58 left on it, I'm like, okay, move the puck and score, get it over with. And they didn't. And, Montreal capitalized, and good for them. They got a win. Good for the city of Montreal, to see their team at least win one. But yeah, the whole cap situation, it's a loophole. I get it. You put someone on the long-term IL, and as long as they don't play during the season, it doesn't count against your cap. Now, the interesting part about that is when this was brought into the collective bargaining agreement, only 2 teams were against this rule, and Tampa was actually one of those teams. So
yeah, I read about that this morning, actually.
Yeah, I was really surprised. And then they used the legal loophole to fault the system. And I was joking today with a buddy of mine, like with the whole Jack Eichel situation in Vegas. I was like, man, Vegas just needs to go out. They're going to be in one of the weakest divisions. Go out, sign top tier talent, place them all on the long-term IR. And then when they make the playoffs, have all these guys come back.
There you go.
Just go 20 million over the cap and get whoever you want at this point. Like, go get Evgeny Malkin, someone from
you could go after Tarasenko.
Yeah.
He's coming towards the end. I mean, he's won a cup, and I mean, when you look at, I wouldn't go as far as to say that, go after Taylor Hall. I know you and we've talked about that. I know that he's been kind of cancerous when it comes to other NHL teams. I thought he was a good fit for Boston.
I did too.
I think he would be a great fit for Vegas. And
on that top line, absolutely. With Pacioretty and Stone, I think Taylor Hall would excel as a top line center, and we could see him go into an MVP conversation.
Well, and I also read today about Vegas was they wanted to trade up Marc-Andre Fleury before he hits the market. And I honestly can't blame them for that, because they could get a good return, because somebody could really use a guy like him.
Right.
But I have a feeling that he's going to use collateral as, okay, well, but I want to play where I want to play.
Right.
I don't want to go somewhere and just collect my money and call it a season and call it a career. And that's why I think a part of me really feels, because Pittsburgh is in such goaltending hell, that I have a feeling that Pittsburgh's going to make one last run. Yeah. And I have a feeling that they are they capable of beating Tampa Bay and coming out of the East? No. Even with Marc-Andre Fleury. I just don't think they have the weapons, even with getting Jeff Carter. Evgeny Malkin is a free agent, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you got Crosby, I think, for what, 2 more years?
I think 2. I think 2, because I think they're going to protect him this year, obviously, from the expansion draft. But then I think the following year he's free agent.
I think even if they unprotected him, they wouldn't take him.
Oh, man, I don't
know why. It's a feeling I have. I don't know why. It's kind of like, because he's coming towards the end. It's like Evgeny Malkin too. These guys are slowly phasing out of the NHL, and they're starting to think about life after hockey. It's kind of like Ovechkin. I think the likelihood of Ovechkin would get picked up first before Crosby in the expansion. I think that if he was available, they would pick him up. But I believe he's a UFA right now too. So yeah,
Vegas can go after him too. So
seriously, I mean, you guys have like this much window now, and it's closing fast, because I looked at the odds of what the Stanley Cup final could look like. And I said it in my last video. I think it's either going to be Colorado or Vegas, and Colorado is the heavy favorite right now. And then obviously in the East, it's Tampa Bay. I mean, Tampa Bay, if they three-peat, I mean, that could be something that, because when you look at their cap-friendly situation, they're not really hurting. They have that core.
They do, but they have. Well, so they have some restricted or the unrestricted free agents this year coming up, and they got let's see, Goudreau, Coleman, Savard, Shin, and Smith are all free agents.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have the cap space to bring them all back.
Yeah, because their cap space right now is 0.
Right. And so if the Kraken pick one of them, that's great. It comes off the books. But Seattle also have up until I think the 18th through the 21st to talk to free agents.
Yeah.
And sign them before it counts against their pick.
Yeah.
So in terms of the expansion draft, obviously we know Kucherov, Stamkos, Hedman, and probably Vasilevsky are all safe.
Yeah, Vasilevsky, he's still got 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's still got 5 more years. He signed all the way till 27, 28.
Right. I think he's solid. Honestly, they got a good young team. Cicerelli's only 23. Chernak's only 24.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's going to be picking up the pieces of who left during free agency and who was taken in the expansion draft. I think they're going to have to supplement those guys. I think the East will be a little bit closer, but I still think they're the favorite.
Yeah, and I see the team that's lost twice now in the Eastern Conference Final. If you're the New York Islanders, you got to load up this offseason.
Yeah.
You got Andreas Lee coming back healthy, ready to go. They need another guy at forward.
Yeah. They need someone opposite Barzal to take some of the pressure off him on that line, because I was watching these playoffs and it's like almost like basketball. He's getting double teamed out there when he's coming into the zone. And I'm like, if they had another skater on the opposite side of him, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, and they have to be deeper offensively, because watching Barzal in the small areas of the ice, he's one of the quickest skaters, I'd say, along with Nathan McKinnon, who can just turn and move and just create time and space. But he needs another guy with him.
Yeah,
and it's going to be interesting come free agent signing time, and who they're going to expose in the expansion draft. I've heard names thrown out like Leo Komarov being exposed, and but that team, I could see them getting back there, but they have to be deeper. And I think that's what the Tampa Bay Lightning have learned since 2015, since their last Stanley Cup final. Their actually first Stanley Cup final since 2004-3, when they faced Calgary. On
the goal line.
Yeah. Which honestly, I mean, Calgary should have won. I mean, that they should have won. But I think realistically, I think they've learned from that, getting swept by Columbus, being the best team, President's Trophy winner, all that stuff. They figured out how to win.
Yeah.
So
that's the one thing that they've done really well is they obviously learned from their mistakes and built a team that is capable of winning multiple cups. And I'll contend that even if Kucherov didn't play, they probably still would have won the cup this year. It may not have been in 5 games, but I still think they had the depth and the personnel to win.
Well, I really don't think, and do you think Tampa Bay was really tested in those first 3 rounds?
No.
I don't think either. I don't think that either. People
That's
say that
without Kucherov, they still would have not, like, maybe not swept and done these games. I think they're still deeper and strong enough to win a Stanley Cup, especially this time where there was only 4 divisions and it was so odd of a playoff system. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think they just weren't tested. I don't even think they were tested in the cup, man. Like, than
it was just so lopsided. You could just tell by the speed, the experience, the skill. I mean, you can just see it just from I think realistically, if the Canadiens won game 2 and they outshot Tampa Bay, that was like one of their best games. I think if they would have won that game, it could have been a different series.
Right.
It could have been.
I think it goes 6-7 games at that point. But it's about matchups, man. I felt Vegas probably would have been a better matchup for Tampa Bay, and I feel like the Lightning Islander series those teams would have matched up well against each other, and we probably would have gotten better series, you know. But it's not the way it works out, and Tampa Bay steamrolled them.
I think if Vegas or Colorado would have made the Stanley Cup final and they would have shown up, when it mattered, I think that it could have been a 7-game series against Tampa. I think that they would have been tested. It would have been more in your face because you could. It's like watching those games when I was watching it. It was like watching Colorado versus the Ducks. It just, you can see the speed and just the will to win.
Right.
And I felt like with Montreal, it's like they relied on those moments where it was just, okay, we got a break here. And that's what I feel when Josh Anderson scored that game-winning goal to send it to Game 5. I feel that it was just good puck luck. Like they got a break. And it's like, okay, now we're going to send it back to Game 5. But I mean, watching Game 5, you can just see Tampa and they're just like, yeah. Oh, I see you. You're good.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was really weird.
Yeah, like glitched out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that game 4 didn't even face Tampa. I think they were just like, yeah, we're going back home. We're gonna celebrate in front of our fans. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. And I mean, I would not be surprised if they three-peated next year. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I really want to see what happens with the expansion draft and free agency. I think that's going to put things in perspective. I think I saw it's the way too early Stanley Cup odds that they always do. Colorado and Vegas are the favorites at like a plus, I think 400 or so. Yeah, it wasn't bad. And then you had Tampa right underneath them. And then like Boston rounds it out at like a plus 1,200 or something. So,
which surprises me because when I watch Boston, especially in the playoffs, I'm like, yeah, they're good. I mean, they're the big bad Bruins like they always are, but I feel like they're just missing that certain something.
Yeah.
And I mean, Brad Marchand and, Patrice Bergeron, and I'm just like, you guys are missing something. And people are, I know Boston fans were super upset with Tuukka Rask.
Right.
But I mean, I don't put the sole blame on him. I mean, I feel like when the opportunities came for the Islanders, they capitalized. And, you're getting older, your legs start to slow down. And I mean, that's a team, especially, I don't believe the rumors that Taylor Hall wants to re-sign there. Because he said the same thing about Buffalo. And I'm just like, yeah, I mean, I'll believe it when I see it. But I feel like with Boston, they're another team that I feel like is slowly going to phase out. Like the Nashville Predators from like 2017. It's going to be like a slow phase out to death. Like then they're going to rebuild. It's just, so. Yeah.
I mean, I get Tuukka Rask, but that's a hockey player for you. Even if he's injured and you ask him if he wants to go, he's going to go. Like,
yeah,
as a coach, I feel like you have to step in at that point and say, look, Tuke, you did so well for us, but you're too injured. I got to go with someone healthy. And if we lose with someone healthy, then that's on me as a coach. But to put someone in there injured, it not only makes Tuukka look bad, like he forced himself in, but it also, as a coach, you lose respect from your other players saying, well, you obviously have no authority and you let this guy walk all over you. But I'm with you. I think Boston eventually is on the decline. I think their run is done. Unless they rebuild real quick and reload and get some bodies in there this offseason. I don't know how. I think, like you said, Taylor Hall's gone. I don't think he goes back.
No,
his career's coming to an end too, and I think he wants to get to a winner before his time expires.
I don't know if I get that feeling about him because he played with Arizona. He went there, and then I know Arizona had that little run there. Buffalo was a mystery to me. And then, he played for the Oilers. And I feel like if he would have stuck with the Oilers and they didn't make that dumb move and then brought in Connor McDavid, I feel that could have been something. But I don't know. Like, I feel like Taylor Hall, he could go anywhere with the talent that he has and the mindset that he has. But then he goes to these teams, and I'm like, what? Like,
Yeah.
why? Like, I remember being in Hawaii, and then they said he went to the Boston Bruins, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, okay. I
Yeah.
mean, and that's why I kind of scratched my head about him, and that's why I think like the most logical sense for him is to go to Vegas. Like, that's just no brainer to me.
Yeah. Yeah. We need a top line center. He's a top line center. You know, like I said, I would like the Eichel thing, injury, you know, withstanding. I think he comes back healthy. But if Taylor Hall wants to put on our gold helmet, our R2D2 or not our C3PO helmet, he's more than welcome to.
I was surprised they didn't wear those in the playoffs. To be
Those
honest,
are so like
they're so bad. They're I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to bring it over from. I know they wear it overseas in the European leagues,
right.
And the best player on the team, I believe, wears it. But yeah, I remember the first game they wore that against the Ducks, and I was like, "What the hell?"
Like, so it's maybe it's the combination. Like it's the gold helmet with the charcoal gray jersey. Maybe it's that. I thought maybe you wear them with the white jersey to kind of let up on the color, or you wear them with their retro reverse reds, and it offsets it. And they never did. They always wore it with that charcoal jersey, and I'm like, if you're gonna do that, get rid of them because they're ugly. But try a different color combo, see if it works. Like, or maybe go to a matte gold like Notre Dame does. You know what I mean?
That would be, yeah. I feel like, I mean, I know what they're going for. They're trying to, it's kind of like the Stadium Series jerseys where they want the numbers to be really big so everybody can see them. It's kind of like with the shiny gold helmets. It's like, okay, we want you to make sure that you could see them on the ice, even though the LED lighting is so bright now from what it used to be back in the 90s. I mean, I agree with you. I think that they should wear those only with the reverse retros or even the alternates. Like if they were to just go with the gold, all gold, like, I mean, it's kind of special if they wear it that way. But yeah, switching, I don't know if this Jack Eichel thing is ever going to get resolved. I don't know.
I don't know, man. Like I feel like Buffalo would be stupid to trade him. But at the same time, if a guy wants out, you don't just want to sit him, pay him and have him, essentially play in a place he doesn't want to be and not give you 100%. I don't know how it plays out. Obviously we've heard that we talked about it with the Ducks and everything. And I hear more about that, but one of the sticking points is Zegras. And I don't think you give that up. Whereas Vegas, I've heard talks about Pacioretty, and I'm like, okay, like, sure, like Patch is a little bit older. We can move someone else up on that line, and I'd be okay with that. But it's in some of the other teams that I've heard are the
Rangers. I know we're in on it.
The Rangers,
Flyers. I know Vegas, the Ducks, the Kings. The Kings, I know, are done with that because they signed that kid from Nashville.
Okay.
For like I think it was like 2 first-round picks or something like that. And I know Philip Forsberg was really upset about that because he was like one of their main guys. But yeah, I know that those, from what I can recall, those were the teams that were.
I think Minnesota was the other team I heard, and they were talking about giving up an aging Parise and then a Suter and Jordan Greenway.
Wow. I just feel like the price is too high. I feel like if he was 100% healthy, that we would be having a completely different conversation. Okay, fine. Like, ask whatever you want. But it's not like we're talking about Connor McDavid.
Right.
Like, Jack Eichel is still a great player, but he also has to have surgery. He has to also go through rehab. And they're saying after his rehab, he may not be on the ice until January, February. And by then, you have maybe, 2 months of season left? And you don't even know where your team's going to be at. So if I'm the Ducks right now and I'm Bob Murray, I would say, you know what? Let's come back to this. I would like to see him skate first. I'd like to see him play a game first. Then let's talk.
Right.
But it's been so quiet because they've said that, oh, well, there's a resolution coming that's going to end this whole thing. And I feel like if he was going to get traded, it would have been done. But I feel like Buffalo's price is just very unrealistic.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, with a player of his caliber, I can see them thinking that he's worth more than he is, especially coming off an injury. You know, they don't want to just give him up for some cheap draft picks and a couple players, and then look like they got shafted when he has an MVP-esque season on another team.
Yeah.
So,
and I've seen that from many players, especially players that come to the Ducks. I mean, who go to a new environment and they prove themselves and they do a great job, but then the next year and the year after, they're nowhere to be found.
Right.
You know, really sad circumstances. I mean, Patrick Eaves worked his butt off to come over from Dallas to the Ducks and then has autoimmune disease. I mean, and, you know, truth be told, my wife has that. And it's like, she could feel like $1 million waking up, but then the next day, you know, she feels like a train ran over her for no reason. It's just, that's just what happens. And the guy played, I think in his 3 years that he skated was like under 30, 40 games, something like that, because he just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, but, you know, I don't know with the whole Jack Eichel thing. I think that they just need, I think it can either happen 3 days from now or 3 months from now. Like we just don't know.
Yeah. I think we're going to see some sort of resolution after the expansion draft and after the NHL draft. Cause I think if Buffalo plans on moving him, you'll see them go pick heavy when it comes to centers. To be able to replace him. So I think it's at least a month or two till we hear something about that. You know, in other news, Trevor Bauer's suspension or administrative leave has been extended another 7 days. Dodgers have pulled all merch. His agents have come out still and said that Trevor Bauer vehemently denies all allegations, and that the Dodgers are doing the right thing by pulling his merch because it's just a bad time. So it doesn't sound like he feels slighted by the Dodgers in what they're doing, which is great if it's all allegations and he comes back. But what this tells me is that MLB isn't even close to done with their investigation. If they're just doing another administrative leave, and it allows him to get his paycheck while he's on administrative leave. He still gets his full compensation. And the PD Pomona, it's not Pomona, it's
Pasadena.
The police haven't said anything about their investigation yet or where they're at this point. So again, we talked about it. I feel like essentially it's going to come down to the lawyers and how much money she wants to basically go away. I think that's going to be the only resolution here.
Yeah, I think, and I agree with you. We were talking about it on Twitter the other day, we just have to see this play out. And the thing I found extremely interesting was that they just didn't pull the merch from the Dodgers team store. They pulled it from online.
Yeah.
Like MLB shop online. So, I don't blame them for doing that. But when I saw that on Twitter, and a really good guy, if you guys want to follow somebody on Twitter who's giving you more insight on the investigation, his name's Jeff Passian, and he's on the MLB network. He's on ESPN, and it's a very sticky situation because you got the Players Association getting involved. MLB still has to do their investigating, and with this, and then they canceled his bobblehead too.
Yeah,
they were planning on giving him a bobblehead this year, And I just think at this point in time, I mean, he's going to be out for a while.
Yeah.
I don't, and I think that his lawyer told him, shut up. Your vlog is going to be shut down temporarily and just let me do my thing and we'll get this resolved eventually. But the thing that really raises the big question, if this does get very bad, I think the Dodgers are slowly distancing themselves from him. And I know with MLB contracts, everything's guaranteed.
Yeah.
And that's the unfortunate part. But I don't know if they release him, like say things get really bad. Do they release him? Do they still have to pay him at that point? Because of the circumstances? Because if you remember this, you remember when Josh Hamilton got signed by the Angels years ago?
Yeah.
And then he came out and he said, I'm back on drugs and I've been at my hotel. And I think the Angels stopped paying him at one time. I don't think they had to pay him the full 300 and something million.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that still, if that applies to Bauer. I don't know.
Yeah. I think there's got to be some sort of morality clause or something in these contracts that extends past the game. And with Bauer, like you said, I think the Dodgers right now are doing the right thing. They're not jumping the gun. They're just removing the merch. MLB, the shop has removed it. Our lids, we had the Bauer outage symbol and the signature, the embroidered graph with the Cy Young. We were told to remove it from our systems, delete it, take down.
I was actually gonna ask about that.
Yeah. And it's just precaution. I get it. A couple of the Dodgers have unfollowed him on Twitter and Instagram. We talked about it on Twitter. I see this. Even if he comes out and the allegations were false and it still gets consensual, and maybe he just got too rough, and it still makes you see him in a different light as a person, or these allegations are absolutely true and they find out that they are, and he's a despicable human being. He's tarnished a reputation with the fans, and even if he's not guilty, it's still going to be a while before he plays. I think the Dodgers would still pay him, let him be on the roster, but they'd say, hey man, take some time off, clear your head. If we need you come postseason time, we'll put you on the postseason roster. But if allegations are true, I think you got to find a way out of that contract and see if there's a way you can cut him without having to pay him.
I think that guys like Magic Johnson, who, I think they're already doing that. I have a feeling that they're already trying to look into ways like worst case scenario. Okay, this is the best case scenario. But do you want that distraction in your clubhouse? Because guys like Justin Turner, Mookie Betts, Albert Pujols, from what I read about and heard, were and Dustin May were the four guys that unfollowed him. And I don't know if they refollowed him. I could, that could have, all been a, thing. I don't know how somebody found out about that, to be honest.
Yeah. They just scroll through someone's Instagram and Twitter and see.
It's crazy how people find out about that stuff. But my whole thing is like, if I'm a manager of the Dodgers and I'm looking at this and I'm like, I don't know if I want that distraction come postseason. Like, I think that we just sit him until the next year and let him, just work on himself, take care of his responsibilities and everything, because they're doing fine. I mean, they won 9 straight and then they lost 3 to the Marlins and then they won again yesterday. I mean, they're doing okay, but I don't know. It's a
dicey situation. Yeah. It's a shame because I think even without Bauer, they still have a legitimate shot at the World Series. I think Bauer makes them that much more potent, but at the end of the day, is your championship worth essentially losing a clubhouse. Because like you said, if these guys don't want to have Bauer on their team, you have that toxicity in your locker room, and that can affect a championship run.
Well, yeah, especially if guys are looking at him and just being like, yeah, scumbag, or, just they don't trust him.
Right.
It's like, oh yeah, you paid her off and did what you had to do, and now you're back to playing baseball, and you're entitled to that because you're a celebrity, you're in the public eye.
Right.
But yeah, I don't, and I have a feeling that the Dodgers, with them being a big market team, I mean, because he was this close to going to the New York Mets.
Yeah.
And, that could have been and the Mets are a big market team. The Yankees are a big market team. I know he talked about going to them too, but yeah, I mean, it's just kind of a wait and see.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
And it's one of those ones that we're not going to harp on here every week unless we get new information.
Just updated.
Yeah. And that's all I wanted to do was update. It's obviously MLB extended the administrative leave. It was approved by the Players Association. He's still getting paid his full salary and compensation. And it doesn't seem like this investigation is getting any closer to being over. So it looks like he's in for a long summer. But when it comes to the Dodgers, the actual baseball now, do you think San Diego has their number this season, or do you think it's just regular season, and when it comes postseason, the Dodgers can turn it on? Because it seems like every time they play San Diego has their number.
I've noticed that more this year, and I think a lot of it is revenge from the postseason the previous year.
Mm-hmm.
I think, excuse me, because when I watched them, that first series was exciting. And then the Padres just stomped them into the dust. And that was with Bauer in the pitching rotation. Now, I think that come postseason time, it's going to be completely different. I think that, it doesn't matter how you get in. It just, as long as you get there. And I have a feeling that, the Padres and the Dodgers are going to face each other. And I think that the Dodgers, that if the Dodgers don't come out on top, I mean, the Padres are showing more and more that we're for real, and they are. They went out this offseason and they got Darvish, the acquisition of getting Clevenger, who's, set to come back. And I mean, I think that it would go 7 games. No question. And especially with fans in the stands, it would be that much more exciting. But I think at the end of the day, and this isn't me just being biased because, I'm a Dodger fan and you're a Dodger fan, I think the Dodgers come out on top. And I think the Padres, in my personal opinion, I think that they win. They get a chip in the next, like, in a 5-year window. Yeah. I think within 5 years, they're going to get a chip. They're going to be one of the most dominant teams, because the Dodgers are going to slowly phase out because they're going to have contract problems.
Right. And then you got guys like Kershaw who's going to be close to retiring, and, these guys stepping away. What do you think? I mean, I think playoffs are a different beast. I think the Dodgers can win in the playoffs, but I think if we're looking at a 7-game series, I think it goes either way. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That game 7 is 50-50. I'd like to think the Dodgers have more clutch in them than the Padres. I think Mookie Betts, being Mookie Betts and having the experience, I think is going to be that wild card that sets him apart. But
I think the only thing that's a missing piece is Kiki and Jock Peterson.
Yeah. Where's Kiki? He's in Boston right now, huh?
Kiki's in Boston. Jock is in Chicago. Which they've lost 11 games in a row. And they're possibly going to be sellers. I didn't mean to interrupt you, by the way.
No, you're good. You're good. Because, I was surprised that Kike left. I'm not going to lie. Jock, I can understand why we're kind of full in the positions that he plays. Mm-hmm. And obviously the money's just not there. to, I mean, baseball doesn't have a hard cap. You can literally go out and sign anyone you want for as much money as you want, and it doesn't matter.
Seriously.
But yeah, man, it's confusing right now because the Giants being in first place, and I'm just like, are we going to see them fall off the second half of the season, or are the Giants going to be contending till the end of the year? Because right now you got the Giants, the Dodgers in second, a game behind, and the Padres 4 games behind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and Colorado is 17, and we won't even talk about the Diamondbacks. But
that poor team.
Do you think the Giants are for real? Can the Giants sustain their success?
I mean, and I've always said this. I've said this for years, being a baseball fan, is that, you know, I think it's fantastic what teams are doing before the All-Star break, but it all counts after that, because then you're getting in the dog days of that 162 game season. And the Giants, watching them, they've drafted well. They have a great minor league system, and they've been in a rebuild, I want to say, since their last chip, which was, oh my God, 2015?
So when they won what, 10? I think what, 10, 13, 15?
Yeah, they won three World Series in 4 years. Something like that. No, the Mets were
3 in a 5-year span.
Yeah, because Kansas City lost to them in 14. Then they got back.
Then they beat Texas.
No, they beat my Mets.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, beat my Mets, and I believe that was in 5-6 games. I don't like to remember that, but you know, I think the Giants, they could make a run for it. I think they're a lot like the Padres of a year ago. I think that the NL West after this year is going to be really something. It's going to be really competitive, especially with the Giants coming in. Yastrzemski, I feel like, who's not talked about enough.
Right.
Buster Posey, who took a complete year off, is coming back and putting up video game numbers. I mean, it's kind of incredible. And I mean, it really would be something if the Giants Dodgers play against each other in the postseason. Then one of them plays the Padres, whoever comes out winning. Like, that'll be really, really exciting, especially with fans. And yeah, I think they are. I mean, it just depends on how healthy they stay.
Yeah. What do you think of their City Connect jerseys?
Oh God, those are. When I saw them, I get the idea, like the fog, you know, and everything. Even though I've never been to San Francisco.
Okay.
I've only flown over it, and you know, but I wish they would have been black. Like, black, then with the white, you know, the fog coming up over the Golden Gate Bridge. I think that would have been cool. But their hat looks like a traffic cone. It's so orange. And I mean, people could say that, like, yeah, but the Mets spring training hat is orange. I'm like, yeah, but there's a lot of blue incorporated with that.
Right.
You know? But I mean, what do you think?
Oh man, they're awful.
Yeah.
Like you said, I get the idea behind it. It was poorly executed.
Yeah.
We talked about it on Twitter. I think it's a beer league softball jersey.
Perfect.
That they ordered off of, you know, customjerseys.com or something. And, you know, it looks like it could be a sublaminated jersey, not stitched on, just all pressed. And no, they're ugly. And the hat, you nailed it with the traffic cone.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, I love bright colors. I like orange hats, but I like them incorporated to where, like, the Mets, or like even the Astros. The Astros have an orange hat that has the blue star in the H, and it's that Texas burnt orange. But when you go to that neon safety construction worker orange, I mean, man, no one's going to miss you. Like, you could be in a crowd and they're going to be like, oh, there's David right there.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously. I mean, I think that the jersey that they nailed, and I love this Giants jersey, even though I know, me being a Dodger fan, I should not like anything of the Giants, is the one where the Giants is in cursive and it's like orange. It's like one of their alternate jerseys. And the Giants lettering is in like black. And it looks really nice.
Is that recent, or is that like Barry Bonds days?
like end of Barry Bonds days.
I was going
And
to
then
say,
they
'cause I
started
remember
to
the cursive. I remember the slanted cursive. But yeah, that was one of my favorites, was the black with the black writing, but it had the orange outline
yeah.
of the Giants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like with this one, I mean, they just missed the mark. It's like,
Yeah.
can you ask MLB fans like what we want?
Mm-hmm.
Like, something to throw it back to the Ebbets Field days. I mean, something like, I feel the best one, in my opinion. I'm torn between it. I love the Cubs Wrigley Field one, where it says
Yeah.
Wrigleyville or something like that. I think
Wrigleyville.
that's so cool.
Yeah.
And the Diamondbacks one.
I love the Diamondbacks. I forget what they're calling it, Summer Heat or Siempre,
Yeah.
or whatever it is. It's that sand color.
Yeah.
I think they nailed that. I actually have the Boston yellow in the hat because it's UCLA colors.
But that would make sense though, why they did it that way.
Right. And then it has the little Boston Marathon patching here, which was really cool. It's a nice little touch. But yeah, the Diamondbacks one, I can't wait till that one drops. That's one I'm going to order. The South Side one for the White Sox was pretty cool, but again, really almost gangster.
Yeah, it's
like
like
I
kind
feel
of
like
like the other side of Chicago.
Yeah, like I'd get shot. Like, oh
Yeah.
man.
The Miami one I felt looked like a Slurpee cup. Like it. I like the hat. The hat's interesting. I think with the red and the blue and the Miami Marlins logo being right here, I thought that was very creative. It just speaks Miami. And but I feel that the Giants one, it's disappointing. And I wish that they would tell us which ones are coming out with the city jerseys, because I tried to look all over the internet about which teams are coming out with it. Like, they're actually very quiet about it and kind of being more surprising.
Yeah, so they said there's eight teams that they did. And so far we've gotten Boston, Chicago, the Giants, Miami, Arizona. So there's going to be two more.
I mean, they got to do the Dodgers.
I would assume the Dodgers and the Yankees are one of the New York teams, man.
Yeah, like you got to do the Dodgers, I feel. And if they do it, I mean, it's got to be something with like Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like, something like that. And I hope it's not something with the Hollywood sign. Like, I don't know why I had that just popped into my brain. That was like the first thing I thought of. But I mean, yeah,
that's what it's going to be. It's going to be the mountain with the big Hollywood, but instead of it saying Hollywood, it's going to say Dodgers.
It would be really sick. This goes back to like the Eric Gagne days and Andre Ethier days. If they had like Think Blue, where it was on the mountain and they put that on the chest, like that really holds a lot of nostalgia for a lot of diehard Dodger fans. Like, that would be really cool.
Like, just a picture of a traffic jam, just LA traffic.
Have it on the back and it's going over the shoulders.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah, you would think that they would do the Dodgers and then like one of the New York teams. I mean, they haven't done a big market. You know what I mean? Like, they've all been like, Boston is a good baseball city, but it's not a big market. Miami's not a big baseball market. Chicago is a medium market. It's a big media market, but in terms of baseball, it's average.
Yeah.
So I feel like if they don't do the Dodgers or New York, they missed out on millions of dollars.
Well, especially with the Dodgers championship jersey with the gold outline.
Yeah.
They didn't make enough. Like, they were not mass produced. It was just like, all right, well, we made this many and this is what you're getting. And I feel like this would kind of make it up to those people. Like, make it incorporated with like their championship.
Right.
Something with that, But yeah, I mean, I hope that they do something with the Dodgers. I mean, I would love it if they did it with the Mets, something in Flushing with the Queens, and
Oh yeah,
that would be sick. But yeah, I mean, for all we know, they might do Milwaukee. Like they
giant
might do
beer stand,
yeah, like someone with like a beer, stein or something.
beer
I
stand
don't
and a
freaking know.
cheese head.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
one last thing. Did you watch Garrett Cole? I know I messaged you about this. Did you watch his last start against the Mets? I think it was,
No, I mean I watched the highlights of the game.
let me pull up his stats.
But he's a different pitcher now.
Yeah.
Like he's gone from A to Z, like a big fall off for him since this whole sticky tack situation.
Yeah. So his last 5 starts, I believe last six starts, I believe that now he is 3-4, and his ERA, all the way back to May 12th was 1.37. That was before inspecting players and all that. And then it jumped all the way to 291.
God, that's yeah. I'm trying to look at his stats right now.
I mean, he's still 8-4, but he's played 17 games.
Yeah.
And
3 of those 4 losses are all recent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's all after the spider tack situation.
Mm-hmm. And I know his career ERA, I think it's like 3.17, but he got chased within the first 4 innings. And I think he only threw about 40, 50 pitches, something like that.
Against the Mets.
And he got torn up. Like I remember the Dominic Smith hit a home run in the right field porch, which I think is complete bullshit. That right field porch, Yankee Stadium is such crap.
Right.
But seriously, I mean, you're just looking at the spin rate and the break on his breaking ball. It's just not the same.
Mm-mm.
It's so different. And I'm surprised that not everybody's talking about this. Like I feel like it's just not talked about enough. Like I remember on 4th of July, that was his last start, and just watching him get chased, I'm like, dude, and he still has what, 324 million coming to him?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I don't and maybe it's just because the Yankees are in such turmoil that people are not seeing the whole Garrett Cole picture. Just like now, if they were winning and Cole was the one pitcher that was losing or getting no decision, I think then it would be a bigger issue. But this team as a whole right now is just awful. And I think it's almost swept under the rug of like, cool, let's talk about how awful the Yankees are as a team instead of one guy.
Well, that's what they were doing when I was watching on SNY, Keith Hernandez and Gary Cohen. They were saying and pointing out the obvious about how bad the Yankees are defensively. Mm-hmm. Just bad. I mean, routine fly balls. I mean, even though I don't know if you saw it, but there was a Mets fan that intervened during play.
Right.
There was a deep fly ball to left field, and then he reached over, and clearly it would have been like a double, but the outfielder never would have saw it.
Right.
But I don't know who to blame. Like, do you blame Aaron Boone? Do you blame Aaron Judge? Do you blame Giancarlo Stanton? Which I knew when he went to the Yankees, I'm like, dude, that guy gets hurt all the time.
Yeah.
Even though he hit bombs.
Yeah. And he's a home run or strikeout guy. Like, there's no in between with him. I don't know, man. If I'm the Yankees, do you look at blowing that team up and getting rid of, like, trading Judge while he's hot? And he's not even having that great of a year, but people would sign him for the name.
He's a freaking all-star, too.
Yeah.
He got voted in the all-star game, just like Aroldis Chapman, who's having a crap season.
Right. And it's his name. Like, or do you make moves to try to make that team better? Because, yes, defensively, especially on the infield, they have issues. Their outfield is iffy other than Judge. And it's just like, yeah, Boone is partially to blame, but those players are the ones that play.
Mm-hmm.
Are you, as a GM, do you back Boone and say, hey, look, man, we're going to give you a war chest during the trade deadline. I want you to go out there and make some moves who you think can help us get back on track. And then if they don't, fire Boone at the end of the season?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you, like I said, blow up the team and start fresh and get pieces where you can for an Aaron Judge and a Stanton and LeMahieu and all these guys?
Well, yeah, and right now they're 3 games above 500. They're 9 games back. I mean, I want to say within the first couple of weeks after the All-Star break, nothing changes, and they're now getting into double digits of being games back, because I think Tampa Bay and Boston, I'll even go as far as Toronto, are a better team than the Yankees.
Yeah.
I think that you need to be sellers. And a year ago, that I guess apparently the Yankees made a call to the Angels and were kicking tires about Aaron Judge. And they were talking about it, and Mike Trout got into the conversation, but then that's where all the details and speculations dropped off.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that could have been interesting to be a fly on the wall in that conversation. But
right.
I think that if you get to double digits, I think you become like the Cubs and you become sellers. Like, there's a number of rumors speculating that Chris Bryant might go to the Mets because we have a hole in third base. Adam Frazier from the Pittsburgh Pirates, who the Mets absolutely stomped today, is a possibility that they could get him. I mean, you could get some really good assets for a guy like Judge, a guy like Giancarlo Stanton.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I get it. You want them to be the face, but you've been trying and you can't get past the ALCS. And right now, you're the worst defensive team in baseball.
Yeah, and other than, I mean, Judge's MVP season where, it was Altuve that won the MVP that should have gone to Judge.
Yep.
He hasn't been the same guy. And maybe he does need a change of scenery. But if I'm the Angels, I don't move Trout. Like, I think.
No, not for a guy like him.
No, you're looking at more than that. And it's funny. I don't know did I ever tell you the story about Trout and the Mariners?
I think a little bit.
Okay, so I used to have a friend who worked within the Mariners organization, and he's no longer there, so I can tell the story.
Mm-hmm.
A couple years ago, they moved. They signed Gene Segura to an extension. Signed all these guys, and then they moved off of him. They traded him to Philly for prospects. Edwin Diaz went to the Mets for prospects. It was Diaz and Cano for Kelnick and all those guys.
Yeah.
And so my buddy had made the comment to me that the Mariners are making room so that when Mike Trout hits the open market, the Mariners can make a huge push for him. And then out of the blue, last year or pre-COVID, he signs an extension, and that Mike Trout signed that huge extension that came out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Like, no one thought that was coming.
I think, sorry to cut you off. I think the reason why that deal came out of nowhere is because when Bryce Harper made that tweet and said something about come to the Phillies and we could team up, and I think Artie Moreno panicked.
Yeah.
Even though the Phillies are not going anywhere. Like, no. Let's be honest there. To me, he reminds me of the Taylor Hall of the MLB.
Right.
Bryce Harper, even though he's a fantastic player. But anyways, continue.
Yeah. So that was supposedly the management's plan, was to make a move for Trout and then have all these young guys put around him and have him be the face of the Mariners. And then, like I said, that extension came out of nowhere and kind of threw their plans in the trash. And now the Mariners don't have a face and they don't have a plan other than these young guys in their system. And now the talk here is Corey Seager, because he is a free agent coming up.
Yeah.
They're talking about making a move for Corey and having him be their guy that they build around. Now, as a Dodger fan, I don't want that to happen.
No.
I think we need to keep Seager as long as possible. Do you think that I mean, obviously, with the Mariners now have this huge war chest, do you think the Mariners go out and buy a big bat this year, like a Story or an Arenado or a guy like that? Or do you think they're going to be typical Mariners and just basically pooch this thing and have all these young guys and no leader?
I think it's going to be a lot like when they got Robinson Cano. I think they're going to pay through the nose for one guy.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to be typical Mariners where they say they're going to build around him, and then it never happens. You know, it's like King Felix, who, you know, pitched for the Mariners for years. And I know they made a dozen promises to him that they were going to make a better team and get him bats and get him run support, and it just never happened.
Right.
You know, I have a feeling that they're going to do the same thing, especially if they get Corey Seager, which I don't think that'll happen. I know that, you know, his brother plays there, but I mean, and this is why I say, like, I get it, guys want security. I get guys want more money. But at the same time, you have to think about, okay, where am I going to win?
Right.
Like, where am I going to win at the end of the day? And that's in LA. You know, you're not going to go and win somewhere else. And I think that's why, like, it's guys who go to teams that, you know, they're so at the start line when it comes to rebuilding. And the Mariners, I feel like they've been in the rebuilding stages of things for what, 15 years?
Like, yeah, I mean, 20 plus.
Long time.
Yeah, it's been forever. But yeah, it I think his brother Kyle, he's a free agent after this year, and I know the brothers want to play together.
He's a free agent after this year?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to go to LA, but they wouldn't have the cap space because you have Cody Bellinger, who's a free agent coming up. Then you also have Corey Seager. And they could afford both of them, but I mean, that's it. I mean, that's pretty much all you can do.
Yeah. So. I mean, obviously we talked about baseball not having a hard cap and stuff like that. So, I mean, yeah, you sign them both.
What position is Corey Seager? Not Corey Seager. His
Kyle.
brother.
He's a third baseman, but
I think if they didn't sign Justin Turner, I could see that as a possibility.
Yeah. Right. It's just one of those things. It'd be cool to see the brothers play together. I just there's a lot of free agents on this market where I'm like, if Corey Seager does go, like I was looking at the other options, and Baez from the Cubs is one, a Story, Correa, you know, although that'd be quite the story if he jumps to the Dodgers.
That's like Chase Utley when he went to the Dodgers. I hate that guy. Between him and Cole Hamels, I hated both those guys for years. Oh, God.
Yeah. It'd be one of those things, man. Like, I like Carlos Correa. I think he's a very talented player, but I don't want him on my team, but I wouldn't argue if he's on my team.
I think he'll re-sign with Houston. I think that just the contract talks, you know, went quiet.
Yeah.
Because George Springer going to Toronto was a good move for him, obviously, financially too.
Yeah.
But I mean, if Carlos Correa leaves the Astros, who do you got? Altuve? You got Michael Brantley? I mean, then they're kind of like in the slow rebuild of things.
Yeah. I think they're more in of a reload stage right now, where if they don't get the bodies in, you could see them drop off.
Yeah.
So they need to do some moves this offseason as well. I mean, surprisingly, they're still leading the MLB in a lot of stats. Sans trash cans. So you know, they're still playing really well. So I'll give them respect where respect's due. But yeah, man, it's baseball is interesting. We're coming up to the All-Star break. It's after the All-Star break where the season gets hot and heavy, and we find out what teams are made out of. Who's there, who's not. I mean, your Mets right now are 4.5 up on the Braves, and honestly, I didn't see that coming. I honestly thought the Braves would be leading that division, and the Mets have surprised me. It's just, man, I love Pete Alonso, and like you, I was a big David Wright fan. Like David Wright to me is fantastic. I loved Mike Piazza on the Mets, so I do root for them. But man, how does it feel knowing like this team? You have a World Series contender in the Mets.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
You do.
Don't say that.
You got a team, and I'll put this in the hockey terms, like the Montreal Canadiens, who just don't quit. Like these guys are dogs, and they don't give up on any game, and it's fun to watch. Like
it really is. Like being a Mets fan right now. I mean, my wife will be the first one to tell you. Like this team reminds me so much of the 2015 squad that went to the World Series, and we actually, as a matter of fact, have a better record than we did in 2015 heading into the All-Star break. And I mean, when we lost Conforto, lost Alonso, then we lost Syndergaard, who got a setback. Cookie, Carlos Correa. I mean, not Carlos Correa, Carrasco. And then we lost one of our big top prospects to Tommy John surgery. I mean, it's watching this team and just the no quit with VR, Dominic Smith, Kevin Pillar. I mean, my first pick was Atlanta this year. I'm like, dude, they were great in the postseason. Right. But I feel like they've just been derailed by injuries. And I feel like that team with Freddie Freeman and Acuna, who are just studs, I don't know who else they got.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't think that they're as deep as they were the year before. And I feel that they're just missing a couple of pieces. And I feel like with the Mets, they need to fill up the hole at third base, and we need another starter. And Carrasco was thrown off the mound the other day. And I mean, it's been misery since 2015 with the Mets. I mean, and David Wright going out the way that he did, it's just, I love this team. I love the no quit attitude, and they can make a run for it. But I feel like on the other podcast where we talked about it, we're building to something.
Right.
It's going to take time, but we're building to something. And I feel like right now, like we could do it. And DeGrom is just like, if we get Syndergaard back in September, like where he's set to come back and return, like we could be a legitimate threat.
Yeah.
But being a Mets fan, as long as I have, it's hard to just be like, yeah, we could do it. And then we just fall off the face of the planet. We start batting out of order like we did 2 years ago. It's just like, fuck, man. Like it's hard. It's hard not to get excited. But then at the same time, I'm just like, I don't give a shit. But it's fun. It really is.
It is. And like I said, those guys it's a team that just doesn't quit. They don't give up. They want to stay in every game. DeGrom is, I mean, he's a masterpiece every time he's on that mound. And like you said, if you get Thor back in September, you're going to have a 1-2 punch.
And Taijuan Walker, he actually, I just got the alert just now. He got voted into the All-Star game.
Did he?
Yeah, he was a late.
Oh, that's right. He did sign with the Mets. He left Toronto. I forgot about that.
He did. Yeah. And he's been great for them. I mean, we got DeGrom, Taijuan Walker, then Carrasco coming back, and then Noah coming back. I mean, I forgot who was when we go bullpen games. It's very hard to tell like how we're gonna do because our bats are so hit or miss. And tonight, winning, I think it was 14-3. We just stomped Pittsburgh. It was bad. And Lindor hit a grand slam. But I mean, I mean, we
13-4.
Yeah. I mean, if we get knocked out of the first or second round by the Dodgers or the Padres, it's gonna sting, but will be back next year for sure.
They're definitely building. It's a team on the rise that I think is going to be more attractive to the upcoming free agents, knowing that the Mets window is getting ready to open.
Yep.
For a championship. Whereas there's a lot of teams out there that are winning now that their windows are closing. Dodgers windows are closing.
Yep.
Boston's windows closing. Astros windows closing. So the Mets could essentially step into that role of, hey, what do you want for Mike Trout? Or, this upcoming offseason, hey, Story, what do you want? Come to the Mets, play third base for us, move from short to third.
Oh, that'd be massive.
And play so that massive position. Or even go after, I think Arenado is a free agent after this season. That'd be another third baseman you could snag. And it's a big market. It's as much as that you want to call them the little brother to the Yankees. I think the Mets are just as important right now. The Yankees haven't been the Yankees since Jeter left. You know what I mean? Like,
I think the last time the Yankees were 2009 when they just stomped the Phillies, and the Angels really tested them, and they went 7 games. And I think that the Yankees after that, it's just Jeter was getting old, coming towards retirement. Hideki Matsui was getting old. I mean, so and they even said in the New York Post, they're just like, the New York Mets are the New York's team right now.
Yeah.
Because they're on the rise and they're getting younger and they're retooling, and the signing with Lindor, even though Lindor was batting like $150 for like a month and a half. Yeah. But he switched from the American League to the National League, which is a huge switch. And a lot of people don't realize that is that the pitching is a lot tougher in the National League than it is the American League. I've always said that.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, with the pitching in the National League, it's a tougher game. Do you think they go to a universal DH and give these pitchers, actual just days off, and they don't have to hit during their games, or like the American League, or do you think they're going to stay with the system they have now?
I like to see them stay with the system right now, because I love seeing guys like DeGrom just come up and do it all. Like get base hits and everything. Like I miss the days of when Kerry Wood came up to the plate and he just would hit it out of the park, and he was one of the best pitchers who could bat. I mean, that's the thing that I wish pitchers would work on more, is their hitting. And I feel like some of them just kind of take it for granted, like, oh, I'll just bunt to get on, or I'll just bunt, and get the runner from first to second. I think that, that's something that pitchers should pay more attention to. So I hope it stays the same.
It's definitely a benefit, I think, for the National League teams in the World Series run, where it's like when they go play at American League ballparks, they do have the DH, so they can get that extra hitter in there. Whereas when the American League team comes over, their pitchers have to hit, and their pitchers aren't used to hitting, and it's like 3 straight fastballs, and they're done.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, I'm a fan of the DH just because I'm a fan of like the long ball and hitting and stuff like that. And, I'm one of these guys that I don't want to see a pitcher bat. Like,
that's okay.
But like you said, once in a while, there is a guy. There was a pitcher, I think yesterday, that hit a home run. Or
it was the Padres game.
Yeah. And it was like
slam.
Yeah. I'm like, see, that type of story is pretty cool to hear.
Yeah.
And those are the reasons I'm kind of like, okay, like I can see why we do this, because that dude, his career could go to crap now, and he could be like, yeah, I hit a grand slam.
Well, and he just didn't hit a grand slam. He hit it off Max Scherzer.
Yeah.
Like, dude. And if you watch the replay, like, here's the strike zone. It was way down here, like Vladimir Guerrero Sr. status. Yeah. Where he just went down and got it, and he somehow got underneath the ball, and it just went and he carried, and it was incredible. Like, they were down 8-0 in that game, and they came back to win.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. And then it's speaking of Scherzer, did you hear the rumor that the LA the Dodgers with Scherzer, because they don't know what's going to happen with Bauer?
Yeah,
there's the rumor with Scherzer. I don't know what you give up for Scherzer. Like, what have you heard anything being in the area of what they'd want?
I've heard just that the Nationals, if they fall out, which right now they're 5 games since Schwarber went down, their game has kind of gone to shit. Like they're kind of in a slump. But I mean, Scherzer going to the Dodgers. I mean, I haven't heard who they would give up. I haven't heard anything about that. I've heard the possibility that the Mets might go after Scherzer if Noah doesn't come back. But yeah, it's very quiet about it. And I don't know. Like, I don't know who they would give up, especially. Like, especially they want a big piece. Like, don't give up Juan. I'll tell you that right now. Do not give him up. Like, no way.
Yeah, I don't know who you would give up at that point. Yeah, I just saw it the other day. I want to say, I forget, it was a baseball writer's Twitter or something, had the picture of, trade talks between Dodgers and Nationals for Scherzer. And I'm like, that'd be kind of cool, but I mean, I don't want to give up Lux. I don't want to give up Muncy. I don't want to give up Will Smith or
even Beatty. Like, you don't want to give him up either. And it's just like, do you give up prospects? Like, do you give up, like, it's a really weird thing.
Yeah.
Because I just don't know. Like, especially like, say Bauer does come back and they get Scherzer, like, God, talk about a loaded pitching rotation. Like, crap. You wouldn't have to have a bullpen game or have Gonsolin come in.
No.
Who every time he came into the game during the postseason, he got lit up.
It's because you also have Walker Buehler and who's the other pitcher?
You got Juan Urias, you got Clayton Kershaw, you got Bauer, and then Walker Buehler. So that's the 5.
Okay. Yeah. So if you throw Scherzer in there, and I mean, if you wanted to pitch David Price on a 6th day, you absolutely could.
I think that they would go for prospects, to be honest. I think they would go for draft picks. I think if you unload Scherzer like that, I think you start rebuilding your rotation.
Yeah.
I think that's what it really boils down to.
Yeah, I could see that. But that'd be something to think about after the All-Star break if Washington starts falling off.
Yeah, they're 5 games back now, so we'll have to see.
Yeah. Man, got any thoughts on basketball?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I stopped watching once the Lakers got eliminated. Like, I really haven't been interested at all. Not one bit.
You got the Suns in Milwaukee. Suns are up 2-0. Suns beat the Lakers. So the way I look at it is, if the Suns win, the Lakers can always say we lost to the team that won the championship, so it doesn't look like they just lost because they sucked this season.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we lost to the team that won the title. Like, that's what it is. Basketball, just to me, it's weird. Like, the Suns play good team ball, but there's no superstars in the finals this year. And there's not the fanfare around it as there usually is.
It's the lowest TV rating of any NBA finals in the last 5 years.
Yeah. I mean, outside of Phoenix and Milwaukee, no one's watching.
No. Like, as much as I would love to see Giannis win, they're just not deep enough like the Suns. Like, Chris Paul is out for blood.
Yeah.
And that dude, them being up 2-0, I wouldn't be surprised if they swept him. Like, I think if Milwaukee doesn't win game 3, it's
done. A sweep.
Yeah.
Suns in 4.
Either 4 or 5. Like, that whole Suns in 4 thing. Jesus, that was just disturbing to watch. God.
That dude was funny.
God.
You tell the dude played hockey the way he grabbed the guy, pulled his shirt over, and was uppercutting.
That was, oh my God, wow.
Oh, man. Yeah. Other sports going on. The Euro Soccer Championships. You got England versus Italy Sunday. I'm a big soccer fan. I think I was supposed to have gone to this tournament over in Europe in 2020.
Yeah.
But COVID struck, and obviously everything got pushed back to this year. and I didn't know if we'd be able to travel Europe, so I sold my tickets. I was going to go to multiple games and multiple countries, which would have been fun to watch. I like watching it, especially. I make my travel plans around sporting events. So like, we went to Paris a couple years ago and we saw a game. We went to Italy 2019, went and saw Roma, all this stuff. So I try to make my travel plans around sports and you know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those things where it's like, I want to see like an actual cricket game. Like, I don't understand the sport of cricket. I've been trying to watch it lately on ESPN Plus, and I just don't get it.
Intense. I'll tell you, like, those guys are intense.
Yeah.
Like, it's really, really intense.
Yeah, I've been watching it, and they have like the 3 wickets behind him, and the pitcher's just throwing, and it can bounce before it hits any. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on, guys?
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right, man. Yeah, I think you got anything else for this week?
No. We'll reconvene and talk about the All-Star game, the Home Run Derby next week, and any NHL news we're coming up on the expansion draft. That's going to be less than 2 weeks away.
Yeah, 16 days, I think.
16 days. So we're coming up on the 2-week mark, and
the protection list has to be out soon.
Hopefully we'll get that. We'll talk about that in the coming weeks and, talk about hypotheticals on like who's going to do what for trades for MLB, because the trade deadline's coming up fast. So, a lot more stuff coming.
Yeah. We'll talk whatever else pops up, and I'm going to go watch Black Widow finally.
There you go.
Yeah. After a year and a half of waiting for that movie to come out, I'll go see it.
Yeah.
I was going to see Fast 9.
Oh, God, don't.
But someone told me the exact same thing. Was like, dude, they go to outer space. And I was like, are you kidding me? And he's like,
no, seriously.
No, they do. And I'm like,
it's really, really bad. Like, they need to just, like, I feel like it should have been done a long time ago. And I know they're going to end it at 10 because that's, a better number. But dude, it's so bad.
I was like, oh, maybe I'll see it, and then I was just like, someone told me they're in space, and I was like, oh, man.
Yeah.
I mean, what's next? Godzilla versus Fast 5, or
you never know, man.
Like, you just Jurassic Park
versus Fast 5, like you never know.
the fast team versus the Avengers, like.
No, I got to go finish. I think I have like one more season. I've been watching it the last 2 weeks, and I never watched it. Was The Sopranos? I got to go finish it. Yeah, that's
a great show, man.
It's good. And
they
finish the rest of it.
They left that off with the cliffhanger. I mean, not really a cliffhanger, but you were like, "What just happened?"
Yeah. So, that movie coming out too about. I don't know if it's a prequel or if it's afterwards. But yeah, I definitely want to see that too. So
yeah, man. Go check that out. Finish watching that. Let me know what you think, because I liked The Sopranos. I thought it was a really good show. And so that's another thing we can discuss next week is like TV shows, like our favorite TV show. So
best baseball movies or hockey movies.
We got all sorts of stuff we could talk about.
Yeah. So let me know how Black Widow is, and then we'll talk next week.
Yeah, for sure, Zach. Thanks for showing up. We'll see you next week, and everybody probably around the same time, Friday, 8:00, like always, unless work gets in the way. As such, that is life. But until next week, we will see you guys later. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, for sure. Take care, guys.